Bem-vindos. Bem-vindos hoje à reinauguração da estátua de Dom em Fonte Henrique. Good morning and welcome to the rededication of the Prince Henry the Navigator statue. My name is Michael Tavares and I am the president of the Prince Henry Society, New Bedford chapter, and your master of ceremonies today. I'd like to begin by just taking a moment to recite our creed, and I would like to ask all of our fellow brothers to recite it with me, please. Together is a beautiful word. Coming together is the beginning. Keeping together is progress. Staying together is unity. Working together is success. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to invite Catarina Vlad, who is our local Fado superstar, to come and sing the Portuguese national anthem.
Heróis do mar, nobre povo, nação valente e imortal, levantai hoje de novo o esplendor de Portugal. Entre as brumas da memória, ó pátria, sente-se a voz dos teus igrejos avós, que há de guiar-te à vitória. As armas, sobre a terra, sobre o mar. As armas, pela pátria lutar, contra os canhões marchar.
Catarina, thank you very much. At this time, I would like to welcome New Bedford Miss Outstanding Teen Mayrid Dandino to sing our U.S. national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Mayor, thank you very much. At this time, I would like to invite Father Ferreira to give the blessing this morning.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. O Lord our God, you have inspired the minds of men with an inquisitive spirit and anxious and adventurous heart, to seek and explore the wonders of your creation and its many marvels. Today, with the captain and crew of the NPR Sagres, we give a hearty welcome as we rededicate this statue of Prince Henry the Navigator. We, as the members of the Prince Henry Society of Massachusetts, have chosen him, Prince Henry, as our patron to emulate with an adventurous spirit his courage, perseverance, faith, and like dedication to pursue our endeavors as he did, with every blessing and grace. And all this we ask in Christ's name, amen. And to all of you here present, especially the captain, officers, and crew of the NPR Sagres, we offer our heartfelt welcome once again to the port of New Bedford, to its many Portuguese descendants and immigrants settled here. We take advantage of your revisit with us to rededicate the statue of Prince Henry the Navigator, that noble, world-known Portuguese explorer and seaman. Your visit here from Portugal recalls the friendly ties between the United States of America and Portugal, that small country bordering the Mediterranean Sea, once a worldly empire, adventurous in spirit, ambitious in exploration, and skilled in navigation. Its seamen sailing to new horizons, discovering new lands, having new beginnings and hopes for Portugal and its people. In whatever part of the world the Portuguese sailed, they brought with them their language, their customs, traditions, and rich culture, and their Christian faith. Both the Portuguese flag and the cross of Christ they planted into the soils of the lands they discovered. E por isso, por estes acontecimentos e ações mundiais, ainda hoje os portugueses cantam: heróis do mar, nobre povo, nação valente e imortal. Levantai hoje de novo, esplendor da Portugal. Uma volta do navio Sagres aqui no porto do New Bedford. Nós, a Sociedade do Príncipe Henrique de Massachusetts, desejam de cumprimentar e oferecerem bem-vindos o capitão, oficiais e marinheiros dos Sagres. Agora, com vós, temos a oportunidade de recordar, ainda que seja breve, os nossos raízes portugueses com antepassados, talvez familiares e amigos. Brevemente, podemos reviver historicamente a ligação entre o novo e como o velho. Com o passo dos tempos, vêm outros acontecimentos, vêm outras novidades da vida, que são semeados e crescem. Eu termino com estas palavras do Padre Antônio de Melo, jesuíta da Índia, que diz: eu amo as pessoas que há de encontrar hoje. Eu aperto cada pessoa ao meu coração. Eu amo todas as pessoas de todos os cantos do mundo, pessoas passadas como aqueles dos séculos futuros. Obrigado, Senhor, por esta ocasião e encontro. Os membros da Sociedade Príncipe Henrique de Massachusetts, com todos dos navião Sagres, capitão, oficiais e marinheiros. Meus irmãos, muito obrigado pela sua presença e deixamos apresentar esses sentimentos e bem-vindos todos vós. Obrigado.
Thank you very much, Father. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our Mayor, the Honorable Jon Mitchell, our State Representative, Tony Cabral, Senator Michael Rodericks, State Representative Paul Schmidt, our City Council members here today, Joseph Lopes, Steve Martins, Brian Gomes, Henry Busquet, Naomi Carney, Kerry Winterson, Linda Morad, and David Elves. I would also like to recognize our former mayor and honorary Prince Henry brother, Fred Kalis. Thank you for being here today. As well as the president of the Whaling Museum, James Russell. Thank you. And our consul to Portugal, Deitor Pedro Caneiro, and our most gracious invited guest, Commandant Paulo Alcubia, Portugal, of the fantastic tall ship Sagres. Thank you for being here. Welcome all. As I was preparing this speech today, I discovered an interesting fact. The original dedication of our statue took place on July 31st, 1994, which just so happens to be my birthday. So today's ceremony holds a much greater personal significance to me. It's quite an honor. I'd like to provide you all with a brief history of how our statue came to be. Our founding brothers first began the conversation of creating a statue to commemorate Prince Henry the Navigator back in 1984. It took another 8 years until Dr. José Rodrigues, a sculptor from Portugal in Porto, was commissioned to design our statue. It was then transported to New Bedford from Porto in the spring of 1994 on the Pauline Marie, an importing-exporting ship, just in time for its dedication ceremony. Over time, our Prince Henry Monument had seen its fair share of New England weather, and recently was in need of some repairs. With the help of a grant from the Wood Foundation and some fundraising opportunities, and with help from the City of New Bedford, we were able to perform these much-needed repairs and rebuild the statue's foundation and base. Through the years, the statue here in the park have become a symbol for our brothers in our community. It is a welcoming feature to our community and visitors, and a symbol of what we've accomplished as a brotherhood and what we can accomplish in the future. So it is more than fitting today that we acknowledge the visit of one of the greatest Portuguese treasures, our tall ship Sagres, where Prince Henry the Navigator rests at the prow, and also where many Portuguese naval students live out their discoveries on board this fantastic ship and learn about navigation, such as Prince Henry the Navigator had created a school back in the day. So with this, I would like to thank you for being here today as part of this great ceremony and this great brotherhood that we have here. And I'd like to, at this time, welcome the Honorable Mayor Jon Mitchell to provide a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, everybody. Sounds like you have another birthday coming up, Mike, so happy birthday in advance. Well, thank you all for being here today. The monument looks fantastic, and I just want to start off and thank the members, all the members of the Prince Henry Society, especially those like Sean Braz and some others who really stepped up and took to this task of making it look as it should. I mean, it is a prominent statue and really one that has great symbolic importance, not only for Portuguese Americans in New Bedford, but for everybody. And I want to thank the city crews as well who pitched in. Sean wears two hats. He also works for the city in DPI, and many of his colleagues in DPI worked on this along with Mary Raposa from our Parks and Recreation Department on this project as well, and it looks great, as it should. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. I want to thank in particular the Prince Henry Society and Mike with his leadership now in the presidency for all that you do for the community. I mean, year in and year out, it's great to have a ceremony like this. It's appropriate, and you can always count on the members to show up in force as you have today, but it's the things that you do day in and day out for our city, leading by example, whether it's the scholarship committee, whether it's the charitable work that you do. It's a year-round task, and you come together like few do in the community to really advance important causes. So I really want to thank all the members for what they do year-round. And I also want, of course, welcome again Captain Paulo Portugal from the Sagres. We've had a great couple of days. This has been a fantastic visit. The Sagres is just speaks for itself when it enters the harbor, and then when you get to learn more about the Sagres and its rich history and all that it's been through, including surviving mines and surviving the Second World War, and then being confiscated after the end of the war, and how it today not only has great functional importance as a training ship, but also has tremendous symbolic importance for the Portuguese diaspora worldwide. The captain yesterday told me something that was very interesting, and I don't know if you've mentioned this in any of your public remarks in the last 24 hours, but he had to persuade the powers that be back home to come to New Bedford. The original trip was supposed to go, I hope I'm not disclosing classified information here, but the original trip was supposed to go from Philadelphia to Greenport, Long Island to Boston, and the captain spoke up and said, you mean not New Bedford? You've got to be kidding me, right? And then, so he spoke up about it, and then Pedro Canero, as he is very capable of doing, made a couple of calls, and it ended up that the course was changed and New Bedford was included on it. But it's kind of a no-brainer, isn't it? So I tend to be, Captain, I tend to be very parochial in my outlook. I tend to think the world should all be traveling through New Bedford at all times. But, you know, you have Prince Henry on the bowsprit. This city has Prince Henry prominently overlooking the harbor, and that should be enough to persuade folks. But, you know, there's something more fundamental too, and that is, it's in part the richness of the Portuguese community here in New Bedford that makes it the place to stop for the Sagres to stop. And you know, the Portuguese in our community have been contributing in successive waves of immigration over 150 years to not only the whaling industry, the success of the whaling industry, the success of the textile industry, the success of the #1 fishing port in the United States, and everything in between. It's been a remarkable chapter in the city's history. In fact, really essential chapter in the city's history of what the Portuguese have been able to accomplish here, and to make New Bedford not only a stronger place, but a more interesting and richer place, and one that's, you know, in an America these days that is becoming more homogenous and less novel and more the same, with highways and strip malls. And New Bedford is unique, and it's unique in large part because of what the Portuguese have contributed to it for over a century. There's also a deeper connection as well. We honor Prince Henry not just because of the Portuguese connection to New Bedford, but also because what Prince Henry represents and what Portuguese maritime culture represents is something that is very much in New Bedford's DNA. New Bedford and the Portuguese mariners that came here and that sailed and that were launched by Prince Henry and Vasco da Gama and all the other explorers have something in common with New Bedford. All of them have something in common with New Bedford, and it's this: they thought big, and they acted daringly. I mean, this is a city that, for the better part of 150 years, when it went on wooden boats to hunt the biggest creatures in the sea all around the world, and this port became known everywhere in the world because people here thought far beyond our borders and acted on those aspirations. And so too did Prince Henry, and so too did the mariners who ventured out and really paved the way for Western exploration. I mean, this stuff took people who were we're talking about people who are imaginative and who are bold and daring, and that's something that we should all honor today. So, and we honor it by not just welcoming the Sagres, but also by the little things, by making this statue in this park very prominent in our city's collective imagination, making it look good, and it will stay that way because, again, it should be that way. So I just want to thank Pedro who's here with his father. I don't know if, I don't want to steal your thunder, but I imagine you might say a few things about your father and his connection to the Sagres today. So I won't go on. But I wanted to welcome you again, Mr. Canero. But also, I just want to say to Captain Portugal that we're pleased that you went to bat for New Bedford and undertaking a course change, as they say in your line of work. And I'll let you know that you are always welcome here. When we have a token of our appreciation that says the Port of New Bedford forever welcomes the Sagres in friendship and amity. And what we have to say more than anything else to you is come back soon, and in the meantime, boa viagem.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I'd like to invite Representative Tony Cabral to give us a few words.
Good morning. I'm delighted to be here. I remember that sunny day, July 31st, 1994. I was here for the dedication of this wonderful depiction of Prince Henry the Navigator. I think Prince Henry Society New Bedford chapter ought to be congratulated for actually on that year deciding on this depiction, this statue. It's unique. It's the only one in the world, in Portugal and other places, that actually depicts Prince Henry as a man of the sea. And if you look at it, it really does that, connects him to the sea. Other than all the other statues, makes him almost, not almost, he is royal, he was royal, but royal and almost too perfect. This is the right depiction that really reflects his life work. So Prince Henry Society, congratulations for actually making that decision. It was an awesome decision to really make Prince Henry connected to the sea that he had, his life work. Let me begin by also recognizing again my colleagues in government, in particular Senator Rodrigues for being here, Representative Paul Smith, who shares a little piece of New Bedford with me in the State House, and the members of the City Council. And I'm not going to mention all of them. I don't know which ones are here, but they are here, and it's nice to have them here as well. Thank the Council. Pedro Carneiro, welcome, a special welcome to Captain Portugal and the entire crew of Sagres. I bring greetings from the wonderful people of the 13th District. This statue is in the 13th Personal District. How appropriate it is. So they are honored and delighted that this particular statue is here in their part of the city. So on their behalf, thank you to all of you. This is the right place in this city to have a statue of this nature. A city that its past, its present, and its future is connected to the sea. Just like Prince Henry, just like the Portuguese, and their courage, as the mayor mentioned, but the courage of the folks that go out to sea since decades ago in New Bedford have that same courage and that same connection back to those men and women from Portugal that also had courage to go to places they were not known and to discover many places around the world. So I think the connection is there. I think this is here in this harbor, a harbor that has such a long historical connection to the sea, that Prince Henry Society decided to really make a statement. And that statement forever connects both this city and the good people of this city and the good people of Portugal and all the Portuguese-speaking peoples around the world. So I think it's wonderful. And the statue, as Fernando Pessoa said many times, and if you remember, we Fernando Pessoa is, not only my opinion, I'm sure, is the greatest poet of the 20th century from Portugal. And he sort of captured the spirit of the Portuguese, and I might add the Portuguese Americans. When he said, Deus quer, o homem sonha, a obra nasce. That's the Portuguese spirit. That's the Portuguese spirit. And that is right here on this base of this statue, forever. And that captures, out of any other piece of many of his poems, that captures that spirit. And it also captures the spirit of really the people of the city of New Bedford, and their courage and their commitment. Seeing Sagres here, really, as you read in the paper this morning, it was like, for some people, it was like a little piece of Portugal arriving. Emotional moments for many people. Sagres is that little piece of Portugal that travels, that brings good news, that brings the ability for us to come together and celebrate. So I'm here, and I want to thank also Michael and the entire Prince Henry Society to give me the opportunity to say some remarks today, because I was here in '94, and it is such an honor for me to be here again today and have that opportunity. Also, I would like to thank the Luso-American Foundation, along with the Council's office and along with the captain and other members of the Navy in Portugal, who made it possible for Sagres to come to New Bedford. The Luso-American Foundation has been a good partner on many initiatives and many activities in the community here in New Bedford and other places. So Michael Baum is here, one of the administrators of Luso-American Foundation. Thank you very much, Michael, and pass it on to the other members of the foundation. In closing, and I'm not going to recite the whole thing, but I think it's appropriate today, just to once again underline Fernando Pessoa, one of my favorites. I know this is língua de Camões, but also is a língua dessa de Queiroz e a língua de Fernando Pessoa. Hoje falamos mais a língua de essa de Queiroz que falamos a língua de Camões, na realidade. E diz assim, ó mar, eu só vou fazer 2, 3 linhas deste poema. Ó mar, quantas lágrimas de Portugal? Ó mar salgado, quantas lágrimas de Portugal fazem? I'm not quoting, I'm paraphrasing. Faz parte do mar, né? Que fez o mar salgado. E ele acaba numa das frases dizendo: só para que fosse nosso, ó mar. Thank you, good morning, and let's celebrate.
Thank you for the beautiful words, Representative Cabral. Another little piece of Portugal that we have here is our own Deitor Pedro Carneiro. I'd like to welcome him to come up and give a few words.
I have never been called a little piece of Portugal before. It's the very first time in my life. You'll be hearing from my mother. Good morning, muito bom dia. Very good morning to everybody. It's a great pleasure, a great honor to have you all here in this important event organized by the Prince Henry Society with the Consulate of Portugal on the occasion of the historic visit of our tall ship Sagres to New Bedford. I'd like first of all to thank this great organization for partnering with the Consulate from the very beginning without hesitation in this project. A special word of recognition to the past President Stephen Ferreira for his personal commitment, as well as to State President Maniloro and the current President Michael Tavares. To all of you, members of the Prince Henry Society, I appreciate and I thank you. You truly lead an organization that is an example for all in its clear objectives, focused on the community and on the way you achieve them. You can applaud. I'd like also to thank the Portuguese Navy and FLAD, that has been mentioned before, for making this visit possible. Without their will and without their understanding of what it means a visit of Sagres to the city, none of this would have been possible. I can assure you, from the reactions that I have been collecting in the past few weeks and past few days, this is a dream come true for many people. So thank you, Captain Portugal, for this, and thank you, FLAD, for this. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here today to celebrate, and it is indeed a day of celebration. It is also a day to pay tribute. And allow me to pay and to honor, to pay 3 tributes. The first, embodied in the Prince Henry Society. The first tribute is to the Portuguese and the Portuguese Americans that live not only in this region, but all throughout the country. To the Portuguese in the United States of America. It all started here in New Bedford a long time ago. The Portuguese, mainly Azorians, then went to other parts of the country, always with a dream sustained in their faith, in their values, in their work, in their family. A lot of you here connect with this, I'm sure. For a long time it was hard, it was demanding, but with the work and the perseverance and the dignity, all the pieces came together. And let me be clear that the contribution of the Portuguese to the building of this great and strong American nation is relevant and spans through all sectors of the society. In all areas, the Portuguese have made their contribution and have served this country proudly. And we should never forget that. Second tribute, embodied in the tall ship Sagres and the captain and its crew. It's to the armed forces. And I think it is fitting to say to the Portuguese and American armed forces, they have always served their countries, past and present. We owe a debt of gratitude to the brave men and women of our armed forces. They are the ultimate protectors of our peace and security, and indeed of our whole way of life. When I think of those serving in the armed services, regardless of what branch or what duty they perform, I think of 3 words: discipline, honor, and sacrifice. Third tribute, embodied in the figure of Prince Henry the Navigator. The third tribute to Portugal as a country, an old country, 900 years of history, with a resilient and proud people, with a past intertwined with the seas, with sailors and ships, and with a golden period of maritime history. But if you look carefully to this statue, if you look up to this statue, you see that Prince Henry reminds us of a past, but he is actually looking into the future, to new discoveries. And for Portugal, let me just mention that the future continues very much to be linked with the seas and the oceans. With a large exclusive economic zone, Portugal wants to increase the weight of its blue and maritime economy and is advancing on the marine science domain in different areas. So Portugal will spare no efforts to recall our maritime identity and to lead, with like-minded countries and friends like the USA, the international global debate on the oceans. Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude, I would like to recall the words of a teacher that I had back in the university. And he taught me that great nations are not only those that have vast territories, economic power, military might, Great nations are also those that have a rich history projected into the future, that have a strong and resilient people, and that share and stand for some of the most important values and principles. And so with that in mind, let me say, Viva Sagres e Viva Portugal. Muito obrigado.
Sr. Presidente, thank you very much for those words. Nesta altura gostaria de convidar o nosso convidado de honra, Comandante Paulo Alcabia, Portugal.
Prince Henry Society State President, Mr. Manuel Ouro, and Prince Henry Society New Bedford Chapters, Mr. Michael Tavares. Members of the Prince Henry Society, local authorities, and ladies and gentlemen. On the occasion of the visit of the Portuguese Navy ship Sagres, I'd like to express my gratitude and the honor on participating as commanding officer of the Sagres in this rededication ceremony of the Prince Henry. I'd like to express also my deep thankfulness to all local authorities and the other organizations that have been supporting Sagres' mission, namely the General Portuguese Consulate in New Bedford and person of the Dr. Pedro Carneiro, through the joint project with the Portuguese Navy started several months ago, which strongly ensured the presence of our ship Sagres in New Bedford. Prince Henry the Navigator, figurehead of the Sagres, was the 30th son of King John I. He was born in Porto on 4 March 1394, and by virtue of his lifetime action and the role played, he has set himself as the major driver of the Portuguese discoveries and inspections. Together with his father and brothers, he took part in the Ceuta conquest in 1415, but the Portuguese Atlantic strategic option, although already visible when the alliance with England occurred in 1373, was consolidated during Prince Henry's lifetime. The support provided by him at different levels, encouraging and promoting exploration of a voyage to the Western African coast and the Atlantic archipelagos, is unanimously recognized today. His attitude and perseverance were reflected in the discovery and colonization of Madeira, rounding of Cape Bojador, discovery and colonization Azores, arrival to Cape Branco, Arwin Islands, Senegal River, Cape Verde, and the Sierra Leone. Prince Henry died at Sagres at 13 November 1460 at the age of 66, with the Portuguese fleet at the entrance of the Guineas Gulf. In line with his ponderous and practical way of conduct, he has left in the place the basins that would allow for the maritime expansion he had initiated to keep moving forward after his death. Even though the objectives associated with the first southern voyage might not be quite innovative, from a wider and distant perspective of the outcome of the navigation, initiated methodically undertaken during several decades, will turn out as one of the major achievements of human-kindly story. It is to the question of the elementary reconnection to adopt and incorporate his motto, Talent de bien faire, the will to do the thing right, in the coat of arms of Portuguese Naval Academy, a bicentenary institution where the principles and spirit of Prince Henry are still a core reference for the technical and the personal education of the future of the Portuguese Navy officers. Playing also tribute of his heritage, Sagres bears as a figurehead of the deception of the prince. It was anyway during the voyage promoted by Prince Henry that his navigator became acquainted with the prevailing wind and current conditions, improved their navigating methods to achieve higher precision levels when determining the ship's position, identified the ship's features that had been improved to overcome the new navigation challenge posed by the Atlantic, including better living conditions aboard, and more effective ways to storing and transporting goods. In summary, it was all this activity carried out the determination and the resilience that is being associated. We see from this the extensive links that bound Prince Henry with the Portuguese story and the Portuguese Navy as well. Sagres proudly show Prince Henry in our figurehead, bringing some part of Portugal to the Portuguese communities abroad, as we are presently doing also in New Bedford. Thank you.
Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to present Commandant Paulo Via Portugal with a recognition gift of his participation in our ceremony today. This is an Archimedes print of our statue with a reference to the Sagres tall ship, and we thank you again for your participation. I would like to once again thank you, the Sagres, for participating in our ceremony today and for being here in our community. I would like to welcome you again in the future to visit our great city again and be welcome anytime. In closing, I'd like to thank all of our members that were here today participating. I'd like to thank all the community members that were here today as well. And I'd like to, in closing, just say, let's let the statue of the Prince Henry the Navigator stand as a symbol of our pride in our heritage and in our community that we live and love. Thank you so much. Have a great day.